Okay, so let's dive into the work of one of the most influential thinkers of our time, Jürgen Habermas. He spent his life on one big question: why can't we seem to talk to each other anymore?
You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling online, maybe you're at a family dinner, and it just feels like everyone is shouting past each other. Our public conversations feel completely broken. Well, what if there's a deep, philosophical reason for all of it?
So that exact question is what drove the German philosopher Jürgen Habermas for his entire life. And for him, this wasn't just some, abstract academic puzzle. No, the breakdown of communication, it was deeply, deeply personal.
To really get a handle on his powerful ideas, we've got to first understand the man himself and the turbulent world that shaped him, right from the very start.
Okay, so this timeline really tells you everything you need to know about what drove him. It all started with a really personal struggle. I mean, he was born in 1929 with a cleft palate, so just speaking was a challenge from day one. Then, he grows up in Nazi Germany. He witnesses firsthand the absolute total collapse of rational public life. And then, in 1953, he steps onto the public stage himself. He publicly challenges the famous philosopher Martin Heidegger for not renouncing his Nazi-era statements. You put those three things together, and you can see how they forged his entire life's mission: to figure out how communication can either build a free society or completely tear it apart.
So, okay, having seen the absolute worst of what can happen, Habermas basically dedicates his life to answering this one huge question. What does a healthy public conversation even look like? What are the rules for a better argument?
And this brings us to one of his core ideas, something he called the public sphere. Now, this isn't a physical place, right? It's more like an arena in society, totally separate from the government and the market, where we can all come together and just talk as citizens. The best way to picture it? Think of those 18th century coffee houses and salons, places where, for the first time ever, it didn't matter who you were, a noble, a merchant, whatever. The only thing that mattered was how good your argument was. For Habermas, that is the essential space where real democracy actually happens.
So to dig into this idea, Habermas says we basically use language in two totally different ways. First, you've got what he calls strategic action. This is all about getting what you want. You're using speech to influence people, to win. Think of a lawyer in court or an ad on your feed. But then there's communicative action, and this is completely different. The goal here isn't to win, it's to reach a genuine understanding with someone, to coordinate and agree on things based on reason. And for Habermas, the entire health of our society really hinges on which one of these two we choose to prioritize.
So how do we actually get to that genuine understanding? Well, he came up with this brilliant thought experiment he called the ideal speech situation. It's basically 4 ground rules for the perfect argument. 1, anyone can join in. 2, you can question anything, no sacred cows. 3, everyone can express their real feelings and needs. And 4, and this is the big one, no one is being forced or manipulated. It's an ideal, yeah, for sure. But it gives us this perfect yardstick to measure all our messy, real-world conversations against.
And this is where he gets really hopeful and, honestly, pretty profound. What he's saying with his quote is that the potential for a better, more rational way to live together, it's not some far-off utopian dream. It's literally built into the DNA of our language. So every single time you try to convince someone using a good reason, not force, not tricks, but a reason, you're tapping into that promise, the promise of a more mature and ultimately a more free society.
Okay, but that leads to the obvious question, right? If our language has all this amazing potential baked right in, why are so many of our conversations an absolute disaster? Well, for this, Habermas offered a really powerful and, not gonna lie, a pretty grim diagnosis.
He saw modern society as being split into 2 competing zones. On one side, you have what he called the life world. This is our everyday human world. Think family dinner table conversations. It's all about shared culture, mutual understanding, social connection. It runs on that communicative action we talked about. But on the other side, you have the system. This is the big and personal stuff, the economy, the state bureaucracy. Think the rules of the office. And it runs on a totally different logic, the logic of money and power.
And here's the absolute core of his critique of modern life. He called it the colonization of the life world. It's this idea that the system's logic, efficiency, power, profit, starts to creep in and take over the life world, where it just doesn't belong. It's like the rules of the office invading the family dinner table, replacing genuine human connection with cold, hard calculation.
And you can see this happening all around us, right? Social interactions get monetized. How many followers do you have? Political debates about what's good for society get replaced by administrative jargon. The media stops focusing on fostering debate and starts chasing clicks for commercial competition. Human relationships get measured by their strategic benefit. It's just like he said, that communicative, understanding-oriented action gets pushed aside, and strategic, goal-oriented action starts to take over, everywhere.
But here's the thing about Habermas. He was never just a theorist stuck in an ivory tower. No way. He was a true public intellectual. He was constantly jumping into the fray, applying his ideas to the biggest, messiest, real-world debates of his time. He absolutely practiced what he preached.
I mean, just look at this list. He weighed in publicly on everything. German reunification, the future of the entire European Union, the mind-bending ethics of genetic engineering, the role of religion in a secular state, and he never stopped. Even into his 90s, he's been on the front lines, arguing about state measures during the pandemic, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the war in Israel and Gaza, always pushing for reason and deliberation.
And this commitment had a massive impact. His work's been translated into more than 40 languages, which makes him one of the most widely read and debated philosophers in the entire world, period.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. For Habermas, defending our ability to actually talk to one another, to have these genuine, rational debates, that's not just some nice idea. It is the ultimate defense of our freedom. It's the bedrock of a humane and democratic society.
And that leaves us with a huge question, one that's maybe more urgent now than ever. In our age of algorithms and outrage, where everything feels designed to make us angry instead of helping us understand, is that kind of rational public debate even possible anymore? Is it something we still want? His work doesn't give us any easy answers, but man, does it force us to ask the right questions.